How's it going, everyone? It's Artifact, and it's Saturday, and I don't usually do a video today, but I thought, I was quite up for it. So, yeah, I made a little free Vital preset for you guys today. Super simple little bass. You can go ahead and download it below in the description. And, yeah, let's have a quick listen to the loop I've just made this morning. Now the bass we're talking about is this kind of little fast kind of brass stab with a bit of noise on it here. It sounds really nice when you can play it up and down the octave, and it sounds quite nice, and you know, especially when you do these kind of fast notes here as like a sort of response to the first part. Yeah, quite like that little loop. And yeah, just have a little quick dive into the patch, but yeah, it's quite simple really. It's just literally two saw waves, the initial preset. So we have the first one and the second one. And the second one just has a bit of unison detuning on it, just three voices and a little bit of percentages and numbers and stuff, maths, you know, all that good stuff. And then I've left the phase randomization on because it's kind of a soft starting sound with quite a lot of detuning and pitch movement. So it's kind of like already kind of like moving a lot from the beginning always, so I didn't really need to turn that down for this one. I've put in a little bit of white noise on the frequency modulation sample here, and I've put on a low pass filter to give it this kind of one kind of dynamic movement to it, but I've left the mix not at 100, so we have a little bit of that kind of white noise that's being labyrinthed into the frequency modulation section of oscillator 2 here. I've left that a little bit on in the mix, alright. Just for you guys who like a bit of crispiness in the high end, pretty much. And yeah, the effects, the distortion, we kind of, you know, the kind of shape of this sound is coming from the envelope 1, which is also the volume, but then there's also a lot of automation that's sort of following the same volume shape as well, so it kind of follows the stab. And particularly the distortion, the drive and the mix, they just go up and down with the volume as well, so it's like distortion on and off as the volume is on and off, so it's a doubling kind of effect of dynamic goodness. A little bit of EQing to kind of boost the mid-range a bit to where the kind of expressive part is, a little bit of extra high end, taking out the low end, so you can sort of combine this as with a sub bass underneath. That's how I would use it, and that's how I've done it in this loop here. And yeah, a bit of reverb on the end, just to sort of sweeten the deal. And well, it's not really a deal because it's free anyway, but yeah, there's a bit of pitch movement going on this LFO 2, I believe, and that's just tracked to I might be lying. It's LFO 1. There's a slight, you can see here. It's very subtle, but we're just kind of putting a bit of vibrato into one of the saw waves, and it's already unison, so it's kind of spreading, but with this kind of extra vibrato as well, it just makes it a little bit more detuned sounding. And yeah, the way that the pitches then kind of move, and the fact that they're detuning, you know, that movement of the pitch makes it into more of a kind of natural, you know, bass stab. So if we kind of put that back in again with our mix. Yeah, I kind of just put a sine wave kind of sub bass underneath everything, and that's just really simple, just basic shapes again. Sine wave, and then a kind of octave up, which has just the unison 2, so we just have the left and the right one to provide a bit of width, and so that just sounds like, you know, pretty standard sub bass, just a little bit of drive on a soft clipping. And yeah, where I've sort of EQ'd out a bit more of the low end in this kind of stab here, we can really like hear the low of the sub bass and the kind of mid-range of the stab like quite separately, so they kind of work together in like the context of this loop. And also I've done a kind of different sort of pattern in the MIDI on the sub as I have with the lead, because I want them to be like two different instruments in this case. So if we kind of listen to it again and just pay attention to that, because especially when we get to here, when I've done this fast response part in the leads and it goes really sort of fast, The sub isn't really going to be able to sort of keep up with that, really. So on the sub MIDI, I've done it like a little bit of a just less notes, basically. So you can kind of hear when you get to that part, if you listen to the difference between the sub and the lead and how they kind of still use the same like scale and the same notes, but just different kind of timings and different amounts. And that's perfectly fine to me because I like to feel like, you know, the sub is doing its thing, the lead's doing its thing. We're all like at the same party having a good time basically. And it's weekend now, so I'm going to go do some clothes shopping. I think might get a new pair of trainers or something like that. Anyway, I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. Back on Monday with some more sound design. Let's get really nasty on Monday with some heavy neurofunk chugging bass with Vital. Peace out. Love you guys.